disturbing. I usually leave them in a certain spot in my craft room, but today I just couldn't find them anywhere, and I'd taken them out into the living room for some reason. Who knows? Who knows what I was doing? But anyway, I have them all now so we can get started. Today I'm going to be doing 3 cards that I have designed for a group swap. I have a little card making group for me and some friends and customers. If you want to be part of it and you live in Australia, please search it out. I've got links on my normal business page. But anyway, I've got a group swap, and we decided to do masculine cards. And I don't know about you guys, but masculine cards are tricky for me. I find them very difficult. So I thought I'll sit down, I'll have a look through Pinterest, I'll see what inspiration I can find there. And I found sort of 2 cards that inspired me on there, so I've changed them up a little bit and produced the one on the right and the one in the middle. And this one here on the left is a slightly changed version of a card I did about a year ago with the tailored, handsomely suited stamp set or bundle. So we'll do all 3 of these today. I thankfully did find all my bits and bobs, so I don't have to start making things from scratch and making you sit through watching all my cutting and scoring. But anyway, we'll see how we go. I see a few people jumping on. Thanks, guys. I can see Jenny. Good morning, Jenny. And Roz. Hey, Roz. How are you? I hope you're well. And Sally, my dear friend. And Elizabeth. Hi, guys. And Barb. Hey, thanks, Barb. I hear Jenny C, you're having coffee with a mutual friend today. That's quite exciting. Anyway, I hope that goes well for you. Anyway, so let's get started. Just randomly, let's start with this one on the right. So that seems to be the pile of paper I've got in front of me. So this is just a cute little, just purely paper-driven card or cardstock-driven card. It's got 4 colours there that predominantly in patches on the front. And I don't know if you can see it, but I've popped each of those panels through the Tasteful Labels embossing folder. It's Tasteful Textures, embossing folder. It's just got a nice sort of regular pattern on there. It looks a bit like, I don't know, a coarse linen fabric or something like that, some sort of textile. So I've popped that in there. And as I say, we are looking at masculine cards today. So I'll just run through the colours that I've used here. The dark one, of course, is Night of Navy. The next one is Pacific Point. The third one is Bermuda Bay, although it looks a bit darker in my screen. It is our lovely Bermuda Bay. And the last one is Pool Party. So we go from sort of light to dark there, or dark to light. The highlight of it, I think, is the sentiment. And I've used the Big Wishes stamp set there, and that's really, I've used sort of that highlighting that happy birthday on the front there. So let's get started. Oh, and it's all on a cake crumb base. So here we go, a crumb cake base. I always get that wrong. Why are there some papers in the world that you just get wrong all the time? Anyway, crumb cake, cake crumb, whichever you want to call it, that's what the base is. Now, I usually go a 5 3/4 long base. This time it's only 5 1/2, just so that you can fit those panels in nicely. So it's a 5 1/2 by 8 1/4, and I've scored it. So basically it's a 4 by 5 1/2 card base. I've got a panel of basic white for inside that's just 1/8 of an inch smaller. And then I've got these other pieces as well. So I'll just go through what we've got. These little individual pieces are 3 7/8 high, sort of long, and 1.5 inches, I think, or 1 1/4 inches. No, 1 1/4 inches wide. Okay, so I've got the 4 of them here, the 4 colours that we mentioned, the Night of Navy, the Pacific Point, the Bermuda Bay, and the Pool Party. And I've already popped them all through the embossing folder because I've already made 3 of these. This is just the last one. Okay, then I've got another piece of crumb cake, crumb cake. Oh dear. Anyway, here, and that's going to sit across the front of the card. So it's basically 5 1/2 by 1 1/2, I think. Yeah, 5 1/2 by 1 1/2. And then I've got my sentiment part, which is either be 1 1/4 by 5 1/4. So that's the white there. Okay, so let's get making. So what I'm going to do, I might pop this one on the inside first. find myself some glue that works. I still haven't got around to putting the pin through those other ones that didn't work. So let's see if I've managed to pick up one of those. I have. Oh dear. I think I need some time in the craft room to do some maintenance, I think. Too much happening in the world. Okay, that one works. Okay, so I've just got this little white panel. I'm just going to pop that inside just so it doesn't go missing. I actually swept. Oh, I've got a question for you. Have I got a fair few people on at the moment? I've got a question for you. I was sweeping my craft room floor, which after doing some card kits looked like it had been snowing, colourful snow in here, and I swept up this die. Okay, question without notice. Can anyone recognise this die and which set it comes from? It's a very recent set. I think it must just be from the last catalogue, but I cannot remember which die this has fallen out of. So boasting points, there's no prize. Just tell me what set I have to put that back into, because otherwise I'm going to drive myself mad worrying about it. Okay, so I've got the panel inside there. And so what I'm going to do is bring in our little embossed rectangles. So I'm going to start with the end one. So I'm going to put the Night of Navy and the pool party on first, just so then I can get the distances right, make sure I'm putting on the right front. I don't want to make another mirror card. So I can make sure the middle two are the right distances apart when I put them in last. So I've got a 1/8 of an inch top, bottom and side. So that's what I've designed that to be. So you just start with that. I'm going to do the same with my, it's a matter of picking which side I like best. Now my pool party one. I'm going to put that on there. Just the same, core 1/8 of an inch top, bottom, side, as straight as I can. Okay, so then I'll bring in my other two. So I'm going to put the glue on first, but I'm not going to press down. So I need, in case I need to wiggle a little bit, I'm just going to pop that on there. Just make sure that's, and then I'll bring in my Bermuda Bay and I'll make sure that's the same distance. I think I've got it pretty right actually. Yeah, no, that's not too bad. Bit of extra glue there, but that's not unusual for me on a Saturday. Saturday morning. It is Saturday morning, isn't it? Here in Australia. Quite a dark day here in Hobart. It's been raining most of the morning. So the craft room is a little bit dark because I tend to use natural lighting. So it's not as bright as it has been. But anyway, so there we have our 4 panels on there. There we are. And putting the end 2 on first and then positioning those middle 2, I've managed to get them pretty much the right distance apart. Okay, scalloped contour. Thanks, Barb. I will pop that away when we finish the video. Oh dear. But I'm glad I swept. I probably would have wanted that that die eventually and not been able to find it. So what I'm going to do now is bring in that layer of crumb cake, crumb cake, and I'm going to just pop that with some glue along that, sort of like about a 1/2 inch from the bottom of the colours there, and it's going to go exactly exactly the length of the card. Try and get that as straight as I can. It's tricky when you're not quite over the top of your work with the video. Okay, so that's that. Just a bit extra glue there. Okay, so that's that. So what we'll do now is stamp our sentiment. And as I say, we're going to be using the Big Wishes stamp set, which is really lovely. I'm getting more and more use of it. I actually find it quite versatile. So I've got the big happy there. I'm going to do that in pool party. In the pool party. And I'm going to choose, now this one I have, you can see there the pool party is quite what's the word, faded is the word that keeps coming to mind, but I don't mean that. It's quite pale because I have actually stamped off once. So I'll show you that stamping off once, and I'll show you the one I did. The first one I actually did full strength. So looking at it together, I think I actually like the full strength. So I might actually go full strength with this one, because I've got two that I did half strength, and I'll do two full strength, and then it'll be even, just for my love of symmetry. So this is our pool party. Still got the old stamp. You see how well those old stamp pads last? I've still got the old one from when I first joined Stampin' Up years ago. Oh, my hub, did I just say my hubby's home? My hubby's home from swimming. He goes swimming each Saturday and Sunday morning with his club. I'm sure they're all aspiring Olympians, although he's the youngest at 55, so I don't know that they're going to get there. Hopefully, yeah, this may be the seniors games or something. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that in. Excuse me, I'm going to bring it down the camera a little bit so I can actually get over it slightly, just because I don't want to, I want to make it even and straight. So just bear with me. That's much better doing it in the film full strength, because at least you guys can see. I think you would have struggled. Oh, that one's a little bit lower than it should be. You guys probably would have struggled to see it with the half strength, I think. Oh gosh, it's not quite as good, this one. If you score this one in the swap, guys, it's slightly off off center there. I wonder whether I should flip it and do it again. Yeah, I might do it again. It's not as good as it should be. It's a good thing cardstock has two sides, thankfully. I'll try and get this one a little bit straighter. Just trying to line them up with the top of the stamp set on the edge of the paper from the angle I can see. Might just be an easier way of doing it. Yeah, this one's better, although I shouldn't talk too soon. Things can fall in a heap. There we go, that's better. Okay, so there's our happy there. Okay, so the birthday I'm going to do in Pacific Point, and I know I put it here somewhere. The ink, here it is. So just for a bit of contrast, and because it's a slightly darker colour, I did experiment with the Night of Navy as being the darkest one, but I think the Pacific Point is quite nice. So I'm just going to pop that straight over the birthdays, just so it's a focal point, just like that. There we go. So I love this. As I say, I love this set. It's sort of the contrast, the big blocky large words and the tiny little and the smaller sort of curly words. It's really nice. Anyway, so that's that one there. So I'm going to grab some dimensionals and pop that on the top of that. I've got the ends of some dimensionals here. I'll use those as well. Get some scissors. Okay, there we go. So I haven't used any bling or ribbon or anything on any of these cards now I look at it. Probably quite sexist when you think about it, but I haven't. I've left it sort of fairly plain apart from the sentiment and the paper. Yeah, you could pop some bling on if you want, of course. But I might come back to them all separately later and have a little bit of a look. So I just want to line that happy birthday up with the top and the bottom and the sides, make sure it's all even, and pop that on there like that. Okay, so that was I mean, I know I'd done a lot of the cutting and the embossing, but that's a lovely quick card there, and I think it's quite effective in its blues and greens. So as I say, the card is 5.5 long. Each of these little panels is 1 1/4 wide, and they tend to fit in there pretty well with some the evenness, and the nice sort of crumb cake colour sort of shows through in between. Okay, so that's card number 1. So I've got 4 of those. So I had to make 12 for our swap. It's, I think, one of our biggest swaps. So I've got 4 of those. That's 1/3 of my swap all done. Okay, so I hope you like that one. Next, let's do our whiskey. Okay, here's our whiskey. I'll get the bits and bobs for that. Okay, so there's a bit of stamping and a bit of colouring in with this one, but I think it's really nice. Got our whiskey decanter, if your dad likes a bit of a top shelf. There's a couple of glasses there. I've used blends to colour in the whiskey, and we've got, and the paper is the Tasteful. I think it's the one from the Tasteful Textures bundle with the sort of bricks and wood and stuff like that. I'll check that one in a second when I'm over there. Okay, so yeah, we've got look like a brick wall happening behind with the sort of the wood grain panel or sort of strip at the bottom. Sort of makes it look like it's sitting on a table up against a wall. And then straight up, you're the best. So I mean, you could make this a happy birthday if you get this one in the swap. I might move that cord. It's the cord to my camera. If you get this one in the swap, you know, quite happy for you to sort of stamp, you know, happy birthday or happy Father's Day or whatever you want. You really can sort of use that straight up. You're the best for just about any occasion. Okay, so let's get started on that one. Okay, so for this little baby, we've got back to our normal size card base, so 5 3/4 by 8 1/4, and then I've scored it in the half for the sort of 8 by 6 almost sort of card base. So that's in early espresso. Then I've got a grey granite panel, which is cut 1/4 inch smaller. So that's 5 1/2 by 3 7/8. So that's going to sit on top of our, it's a bit hard to tell with the brown against the, I'm going to pop a piece of, bear with me, I'll pop a piece of grid paper under that so you can see a bit better. Should have done it before I started. Here we go. One piece of grid paper there, nice new one, without lots and lots of stamps on it, like it usually gets from my failed experiments. So what I normally do when I'm doing my videos is I'll get a little glue dot and glue them under the 4 corners so it doesn't flip up. But in this case, it's a little bit late, so I won't do that this time. Okay, so I'm just going to check my comments. Hasn't scrolled down to the bottom. We've got Robin. Hey, Robin. Thanks for joining me. Okay, so as I see, you can see better now. That's a early espresso card base. Then we've got the grey granite grey goes on top there. Grey granite goes on top. Then we've got our designer series paper. So another 1/8 inch down is the brick panel, which is just fits inside the grey granite like that. And then the wood panel is 1.5 inches, so just under 4 centimetres. Yeah, wide, and it's sort of the same width, and it fits across the bottom like that. I've got a piece of cardstock there for my for stamping. Then I've got another piece of early espresso, and I've punched that off into that sort of highlight shape there. And from the tasteful labels, I've cut a white label, and they're going to sort of complement each other at the front there like that. But we'll get to that in a second. We'll start popping this on. There's a piece for the middle, but I might do that first so I don't lose it. Pop that inside. Get it mixed up with my stamping piece. I've often done that. Stamped and coloured and die cut away and then wondered where the inside panel went to. Not good. Okay, so we're going to put our backing on. So you can see we've got a nice chunky border of the beautiful dark brown there. And now our bricks. There we go. I'd say these are very, very sort of solid, simple designs here. I suppose the whiskey bottle and decanter and glasses is a little bit fancy. So there we are. So that's the basis of it, ready for our decoration. Okay, so I'm going to stamp the whiskey bottle. I did block these things up already, so I knew. I'm ashamed to say that I absolutely adore, well, I'm not ashamed to say that I adore the stamp set. I am ashamed to say that this was the first time I'd ever had it out of the pack. I've had it for ages. I even had to put the stickers on the back because I hadn't even got to the point where I put the stickers on the back. So here we are. I'm going to grab some black ink. So I want 1 decanter and 2 glasses per card. So let's do that. And I warn you, there is fussy cutting involved here. So if that's a worry to you, I'd probably go and get a cup of coffee or something while I do that. Thankfully, they're nice even shapes, so there's not too much fussiness about the fussy cutting. It's just cutting. There we go. So we've got our decanter and our 2 glasses. So the colours I'm going to use for my colouring are, I'm going to use light and dark cinnamon cider with a little tiny touch of dark daffodil delight on the actual glasses, on the actual fluid, and then just to make some highlights around the glass of the glasses and the decanter, I'm just using a tiny bit of balmy blue, or very light balmy blue, and I may bring in the colour lifter at some stage as well, depending on how I go. So I'm just going to just pop that and get my original card so I know what I'm doing. Just pop just in where the glass just has nothing but glass, I suppose. Just pop some of the blue, and this is just really, you know how sometimes the reflected light through a glass makes it look like it's got a blue tinge. That's really just the look we're going for. Nothing heavy, nothing too obvious, just tiny little bits of hints of colour. And if you come in too heavy at some stage, just bring your colour lifter in to just take that out, to soften it a little bit. And I'll do the same on the glasses. Okay, so you probably can't even see that on the colour on the film, but it is there. Just a little bit of it, just a little highlight colour. Okay, so I'm going to bring the dark in first, the dark cinnamon cider. And really our stamp sets are really good because the designs tell you where the shadows should be, so the darkest parts. So I'm just going to bring the dark in around the edges where the dark shadows are on the actual design itself. And as I say, it pretty much tells you where the dark bits would be. Just be a little bit careful on those straight edges where they are supposed to be straight. Okay, and I'll do the same on the actual glasses. So obviously there's some dark shadows around the edges of the glass. And on the surface. I don't want to colour in that where the ice block is sort of poking up through the top. I'll leave that blank, white, clear. Oop. Trouble with the edge there. Okay, I'm going to bring in the light cinnamon cider. I'm just going to blend that in. Just going to blend it in and leave a sort of totally blank space in the middle, and that's where I'm going to, just a small one, And that's where I'm going to bring in our Daffodil Delight. Sort of, you know, get that sort of 3D thing happening where the, you know, the light's shining through the liquid. Okay, same here. No houses to look at today, so we're all free and clear to get on with our Saturdays. And if you watched me before, you mentioned a couple of times we're house hunting with my eldest and his partner, who have been living with us for close on 2 years now. Sort of moved in just before the virus hit, and haven't quite managed to move out again, but you know, it's nice having them. But they are finally ready to buy a house. If they can find one in this current market, it would be lovely. Okay, so I've got my dark Daffodil Delight here, and I'm just going to blend that in, sort of blend the edges with the cinnamon cider as well, just so you don't have a sharp line. Just sort of let that sort of merge out a bit. Just blend it in, and that's why our blends are so wonderful, because they do such a wonderful job at blending in. So you've got a little bit of light traveling through that decanter. Okay, so I'm just going to fussy cut these. Just bear with me. As I say, they're not too fussy. There's a bit of fiddliness around the top of the decanter where the plug is, where the top of the, what do you call the top of a decanter? The plug, I suppose. It's sort of like a plug. Anyway, where that is, but it's not too bad. Did I just see Jenny O? Hey, good morning, Jenny Osmond. How are you? Been cutting kits this morning. I've got my new, or latest class by mail just come out, so I've got some kits to cut this morning. I love my kits. They're so cute. I just like to take pictures of them and spread them out on the table. I just think they're, yeah, card kits are probably my happy place. So I have hurt my wrist, but I think that's a combination of my day job and my hobby job. I know which one I'd rather get rid of. We'll see how we go with that. Just going to take this around. As I say, there's a little bit of a fiddly bit there. I'll come back to that. This is one set that would really benefit from a die. If anyone has a ear over at Stampin Up, would really like a die for this one. Okay, nearly done, and I'll do this fiddly bit around the top. Okay. YouTube have added this new function called a short, which apparently is a video. If you can get it down to a minute, it's just a short video and they just run on a loop. And so lots of people do, you know, silly little dance videos, or well, not silly, I'm sure they're very good, little dance videos or comedy routines or something that they can do in a minute. And I tried to make a card in a minute, and it was absolutely impossible, even when I did it at like triple speed. So I was going do like this, but it was just impossible to do a card even in 3 minutes. So I decided it's probably not a good format for card makers, because we do tend to take a lot longer than a minute to make our cards. Well, I do anyway. So I think I'll stick to the old-fashioned long format for my cards. Okay, so now I've got those all cut out. I'm going to pop them on with some dimensionals. So we're going to sort of arrange them so they look like they're sitting on the table here in our suave man cave, brick man cave here. I'm going to use a little one on the top, not that big ones. Oh. I just put myself, no, did I put myself on mute? No. Trouble, I'm wearing my work headset from the call centre, and so it's got a little mute button. So if you can't hear me anymore, please say, because I think I just heard a little beep that meant I was put myself on mute. Maybe it won't let me go on mute here. Just leaned forward and pushed the button on the table, so that was a bit of a funny thing. That paper won't come off. Have to put a new one on. That dimensional's a bit suspect. Oh, Jan. Hey, good morning. Jan made it. Jan Casey. Good morning. Okay, so we've got our first decanter. Decanter's going to sit here on the left-hand side, just on our pretend table, like that. Then I'm going to bring in our glasses. The first one is going to sit off to the right-hand side, just slightly higher, like that. And then our third one is going to sit like in the foreground, just like that. Okay, so they look sort of natural-ish, like they're just sitting where you've popped them down, having a drink of whiskey with your dad, grandpa or somebody. Okay, so yes, so straight up, you're the best. That's what we're going to use as our sentiment. Now, where's that sentiment box gone? Oh, there it is. I had it there all the time. So I'm just going to stamp that straight onto this this sentiment box. As I say, this is from and I've got to remember, there's going to be a crash bang in here. This is from Tasteful Labels. So yeah, Tasteful Labels. They're becoming one of my favourite sentiment boxes as well. So just straight up, you're the best. Then what I'm going to do is bring in this tag that I've punched. This is a punch, which I don't know the name of, but it's just a quite nice, easy, plain little, well, not plain really, sort of ornate little label there. I'm just going to glue that straight to the card. So just like that. And then with dimensionals, bring in the sentiment box. Just over the top, just so they sort of complement each other a little bit. Try and get that as central and as up and down straight as I can. There we are. Okay, so there is my whiskey glass card for my swap. There we are. Hope you like that one. Again, I haven't got any bling or anything on that. I haven't got any I suppose you could put some wink of Stella on that whiskey and make it shine a little bit. That might be nice. I might come back and do that to all 4 of my cards. So I've got 4 of those as well for my swap. So that's what 2/3 of the swap down. There you go. I had to do 12, so I've got 8 done now. Okay, final card. I've got to find its bits and pieces. Final card is this little cutie here, using the handsomely suited stamp set. And I've fussy cut the bow tie, but there's a die that you could use to cut it out. So we're using this bow tie down here with the dots on it. And bow ties are cool, somebody once said. Okay, so again, I've got a normal sized card base, 5 3/4 by 8 1/4. This time it's in thick basic white. I've got a panel of our just absolutely gorgeous real red, and that is 1/4 inch smaller. So that's 3 7/8 by 5.5. Got a slightly smaller again panel of basic white, and that's where we're going to stamp. And I've got a piece of cardstock just for my little extra highlight bow tie, and a red strip for my sentiment, so just to make that stand up as well. Okay, so let's get stamping on our front piece of Whisper white, basic white. I don't think I'll ever get used to that. Okay, so we've got our bow tie here, and all I'm going to do is sort of form a brick wall of bow ties, if that's probably the easiest way of describing it. And I'm going to start with the one that I want to use as my highlight one. So I'm going to start with this one and build up around it. So I just find that easier. So I know I want one there-ish, and then I'll build the brick wall around it. So I know that that's the one I'm going to highlight, so we'll build up around it. So just with your okay, that's not very good. Let's turn over. As I say, it's very difficult when you're not over the top. I find it difficult when I'm not over the top of my work to get things straight. I might have to bring it down a little bit so I can get my head over. Otherwise, we're going to be starting again multiple times. As I said, that's not very good either, but we'll keep going. I'm going further and further down on that side. I'm just going to try and build a brick wall. And I'll try and make the other lines of the brick wall at least a little bit straighter than that one. Joy of handmade, hey? Again, if you ladies are in the swap and you get this one, you'll know that this was the slightly wonky brick wall that I made when I was live. Very wonky brick wall. I'm just going to, as I say, build that up around it. You can use this, it's a very versatile design, this one. You can use it with just about any stamp that you've got. I did a really nice one a few years ago where I used the rose. And you've probably been around for, if you've been around for a while, you remember it, the rose out of the painted, the one that was looked like it was a stained glass window. I can't remember what it was called now. Anyway, the rose out of that made a lovely version of this card with just a single red one, sort of really standing out there. Okay, so I've got my slightly wonky brick wall. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to colour it with real red blends. Did I leave them out? Maybe I'll pop them away. Oh no, there they are. So just find a side of my paper that doesn't have an ink splodge on it. So that's the one I'm going to cut out and colour. I'll find my other blend. Here it is. So I've got my light and dark real red blend here, and again I'm just going to use the dark one first. Just go around the shadowy bits, and again the stamp set's really told you where the shadows and the dark creases would be. Just have to sort of follow that. And I'll bring in my light and just blend that in. Now this one I am going to do, this is for your snazzy dad who's a bit more flamboyant, I suppose, wears his red polka dot bow tie. If anyone does, I don't know. And I'm going to use some Wink of Stella just to give the bow tie a little bit of bling. Just give it a little bit of something extra. So I've just got my Stella, a Wink of Stella. I'm just going to bling it up. As I say, you probably can't tell I've done it on the video, but I know it's there. The light in here isn't great today. The sun's just coming out, but I don't know if you can see that. But anyway, it's there. Okay, so I'll just cut this one out, and then we can pop this one together. As I say, it's just a quite lovely, quick, effective design. Someone's cooking bacon and eggs in the kitchen. They must know I haven't had brekkie yet. Now, I actually prefer cutting, when I'm doing this design, I actually prefer to cut it out rather than use the die, because I don't want too much of that white rim around the image, because I'm going to be popping it over that image. I don't really want too much white around it, if that makes sense. So I'm just sort of, I can cut it straight, you know, straight on the line rather than having that white outline. So I'm just going to pop that on dimensionals, or end of a packet of dimensionals, and put it over like that. So then we just have that one coloured bow tie there. Okay, so we can bring back the rest of our card. Just layer it up. And this one is done as well. I picked up the wrong glue, I think. So just this one onto the card base. Yeah. And then our final brick wall bow ties on top. Okay, there we are. And then, as I say, I've got this little strip of real red leftovers, and it is, well, it must be 1/2 inch, centimetre, 13 mil wide. I'm going to pop that with the, I'll find the sentiment I'm using. Yep, you're the very best. So again, you could use this for a Father's Day or a birthday. It really wouldn't matter too much, because it's a fairly standard sentiment. I am going to, I've got a bit of a problem with this one. The sticker's not on quite straight. So if I line it up with the edge of the stamp set, it's not quite straight. So I have to guesstimate how crooked I have to be to actually make it stamp straight. That's not too bad. Where's my black lid there? Okay, so I'm just going to trim one end with my scissors, just straight, and I'm going to banner the other end with my banner stamp punch. No, not that one. Where is it? This one. Just got the banner punch there with just the two, the in and out banner. I don't know what you'd call them. I'm going to pop that in there. It's stuck. I should have probably cut it off first. Haven't left myself much to hold on to there, but anyway, I'll just banner that. There we are. Okay, and bring back our card, another couple of dimensionals. And this baby is also done. And there we are. Just bringing that in from the right hand side. Sorry, I'd work my way down the page there a bit. Straight across there. Okay, so that is crooked. But anyway, that's everything about that card is a little bit off. That's okay. That's fine. Doesn't matter too much. But anyway, there you are. So that's card number 3 of my swaps for this month's group swap. So we've got that one for our snazzy bow tie dad. We've got our traditional whiskey lover dad, and we've got this one which is sort of funky and colourful as well. So hopefully you like those. If you are ladies in my swap, it's got, oh, there's 12. These are what you'll be getting, so you'll be able to open it up and tell which one you actually got. I don't know. I'll just draw them randomly and see how we go. Anyway, if you'd like, as I say, if you live in Australia and you'd like to be part of our little group, the group is called Card Making, Paper Crafts and More Australia. So if you want to search that, or you can, I think there's a link from my business page if you wanted to pop over and join the group. and you can be part of the swaps, and I send a card to everyone who joins the swap. So if that's what you'd like to do, please do so. We have a different theme every month. We've just had Christmas in July. As I say, this month is August is masculine. I don't know what next month will be. It'll be something very special, I'm sure. But anyway, that's my 3 cards today. They are all current products. If you'd like to talk to me about any of these stamp sets that I've used today, please reach out. If you haven't got an active demonstrator and you would like copies of the current catalogues, please reach out as well. I've got supplies here that I'm happy to send to people who don't have a demonstrator of their own at the moment, in Australia, of course. Okay, but thanks for joining me today, guys, and I will see you all next time. Okay, bye.